Hello, PsychU community. Rachel Self here from Otsuka Neuroscience Medical Affairs. As many of you are aware, May has been recognized and celebrated as Mental Health Awareness Month within the United States since 1949. PsychU would like to join in celebration and awareness efforts by hearing from many of our contributors and collaborators. I am extremely pleased to be here today with Dr. Yu Moutier, Chief Medical Officer of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, our PsychU Major Depressive Disorder Section Advisor, and just an all-around beautiful person, if I must say so myself. Christine, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Rachel, for having me. It's always a pleasure to collaborate with PsychU.
And we love having you. And we really would be interested to hear, what does May Mental Health Awareness Month mean to you personally?
Well, it's an exciting month each year, not just because it's, on the calendar and like so many issues have a point in time to be considered. But, we are at a time that attitudes in our country have just turned around so dramatically, with an open-mindedness towards mental health and an understanding that mental health is part of all of our lives. It's part of human health, just like physical health is. And it's not only about addressing mental illness, but it's about managing our mental health in the most proactive ways possible, through combinations of self-care and treatment when necessary. And so at AFSP, we have really been interested in deepening the public's understanding of mental health, something I would call deepening mental health literacy, so that we can take those important next steps towards, really towards suicide prevention and so many other important areas that are really difficult to get to until we deepen the mental health literacy of the public. So it's exciting for me on a personal and professional level.
Thank you, Christine. And you mentioned a little bit about AFSP. You all are doing such incredible work there. And I hear there's some exciting things happening, especially this year for May Mental Health Awareness Month. Can you talk a little bit about how you and AFSP are going to celebrate this May?
Yes, we are putting out a really special campaign that is called #MoreForMentalHealth. And it's really a focus on calling people to action towards an advocacy push. And that is really both educational for the public, and it also specifically calls out particular areas that everyday people, certainly clinicians, but anyone can use their voice, can sign up to become an advocate at afsp.org, and can advocate for, we have 5 calls to action, 5 policy areas. And I'll just mention a few of them because I think they will be of interest to the PsychU community. #MoreForMentalHealth is going to focus on increased access and affordable mental health care for the public. It's going to focus on more mental health and suicide prevention education in schools. We know that youth mental health and suicide is considered right now a national crisis. More support for us as health professionals and for first responders. For example, we saw the Dr. Lorna Breen Healthcare Provider Protection Act, the first federal legislation of its kind that is turning the attention to the well-being, mental health, and suicide prevention of health professionals and first responders. There will be a focus on the 988 system and the transformation of the crisis response system. And lastly, a call for more research in mental health and suicide prevention and support for that field. So we are really excited. We think it's time for this. It's almost like the groundwork has been laid with that open-mindedness. And I think so many families feeling the need for better understanding and better tools and mental health care. And so this campaign is meant to kind of tap into this moment of sense of urgency and call people to action towards the policy arena.
That's amazing, Christine. Thank you for sharing that with our PsychU community. And we will encourage everyone to participate and provide the link for you to access this great new campaign.
Thank you.
To piggyback on that just a little bit, could you also share some of your perspectives on any sort of key things that you wish the general public was more aware of regarding mental health? Obviously, those 5 key pillars that you just mentioned, but anything else you'd like to share with our PsychU community?
Well, I think I'm probably going to be preaching to the choir with the PsychU community, but you all have a voice with your patients and with your communities and family members, your schools, faith organizations. And I think, there's still this misunderstanding that the public has that mental health is in sort of a binary situation with people who have good mental health and people with mental health conditions. And we know that that is not the truth. That's not how it works. We all have mental health to manage. We can all learn to be proactive and really be in the process of learning day by day over our lifetimes about how to prevent downturns in our mental health. Of course, it's not a perfect thing. You don't have to aim for, complete stability or optimization, and that's not the point, but it's really about this effort that can make a huge difference for people who have mental health conditions and for people who don't. So, that's the piece that I would just turn our attention to, is helping the public to discern how to read certain, signs and symptoms, and to really let it be a call to action for all of us to learn more, to try to practice new things rather than what we generally have been taught to do in society, which is to write it off to stress and just kind of let it play out the way it's going to play out, the watch and wait perspective. I'm really not a believer in that, except for certain clinical scenarios, of course, when it's important to do that. But in our lives, there are so many more actions we can take, just little things like dialing in our sleep, looking at what we're eating and putting into our bodies, how we're managing our relationships and our stress, having some movement, whatever works for you. And that's different for different people. But, things like that, we know from the research can make a huge difference for all of our mental health.
So very true. Yeah, we're multifaceted human beings, and definitely our mental wellness goes across a continuum. We have to come up with our own recipe for success, right?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you for everything that you do as part of AFSP as well as on your own. And we would also like to make sure our PsychU community can find more information about this exciting new program for May Mental Health Awareness Month that AFSP is offering for additional advocacy endeavors at moreformentalhealth.org. Please check that out and learn how you can do an even bigger part for improving mental health for those around us. With that, thank you so much to our PsychU community, to you, Christine, and let's all continue to join efforts together to raise awareness around mental wellness.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And I want to give my own personal thanks to the PsychU community for all that you do as well. Take care.